Hi, and welcome back to Tip of the Tongue Talks. Tonight we will be covering two different episodes from two different shows. I think I said that wrong. But our first episode of Black Mirror will be Hotel Reverie. Right after that, we'll be covering The Last of Us, episode entitled Day One. So if you're here just for the Black Mirror shenanigans, stay tuned because we're doing that one first. And if you're here for The Last of Us, it'll be about 30 minutes or so in, but we prefer that you stay here the whole time. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that like button. All right, let's get into it. Starting with Black Mirror, Season 7, Episode 3, Hotel Reverie. Ooh, I wasn't even trying to rhyme on purpose. Look at that. All right, so just stick to the script. In this episode, we are introduced to the actress Brandy Friday, portrayed by the wonderful Issa Rae. She's become disgusted with being typecast, and she yearns for something more. She's given the opportunity to play the role of her dreams in the remake of her favorite film, Hotel Reverie, as Dr. Alex Palmer, who was originally a male lead. Nonetheless, in true Black Mirror form, there's always a plot twist. All right, glad you're here with us for Plot Twist Thursday as we dive into this episode. All right, so would Brandy have taken this role if she knew all of the facts about Redream? What are your thoughts?
Fuck no. Not at all.
This is a very closed-ended fuck no.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I mean, would anybody like? There's a possibility that you could die. Number one, well, yeah. There's a possibility that you could die. Like, no one wants to be put in that situation at all. Like, that's what. What's his name? From 30 Rock, the comedy show, Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody could actually die. No one wants to be. No. Especially if you're an up and coming actress and everything hopefully is going your way to the point where like you're making demands about your next role. Nah, you don't want to die.
He's like, Brandy Friday would have been like hard pass. What are your thoughts, Courtney?
So I agree. I think that, if it was me, similar situation, I'd be like, hell no. But then after I watched the episode with some safeguards, I just looked at it as another game, right? A game experience. And then my mind went to all these different scenarios of how this could be so cool to experience, right? But initially, without any other circumstances at play, I'm going to say hell to the no. Hell no.
I don't know. I feel like she was a bit she was up and coming not even up and coming in her prime, but so thirsty for more. I feel like she would have probably still given it a try. I don't know. I might be wrong. And some of it may just be based on watching the entire episode and how things kind of went and what she was willing to do. So I don't know. I feel like her crazy ass would have probably still went for it. Like, okay. Like I'm fascinated by this.
What did y'all think about the casting of the roles?
Vanilla.
You think it was vanilla?
Like there was nobody to look at and to be like, ooh, look at this. Look at this.
The casting was vanilla. It was entertaining. The casting was entertaining.
It's funny that Issa Rae, her character, was talking about being typecast when I feel that she's typecast in Hollywood.
Haha.
Do you think that's why she took this particular role?
Yes.
Better question.
Yes. I feel like she plays her character insecure in everything I've ever seen her.
You say it again?
I feel like she plays her character in Insecure in everything I've ever seen her in.
Yeah, it's just that very awkward, quirky Black girl.
The quirky Black The quirky black girl all the time. I love it, but Also, I'm not a fan of Aquafina. I know, don't hate me.
Who's Aquafina?
The Asian American young lady that was running the Redream process.
Oh, I like her.
I feel like she has a black scent, but I'm not sure if that's just nurture or nature or what.
I feel like she got a black scent.
Let me be honest. Every Asian I've ever met.
No.
That's how they sound. That's just how they sound to me. I think she's just being honest about how she sounds. Where else everyone else just kind of
try to hide it.
I just get more of like a smoker or something from her. Just kind of rough around the edges more than a black scent. But I don't know.
Did you see her in the movie that I love so much, Crazy Rich Asians? No, Crazy Rich Asians. Think of Crazy Rich Asians, then think of her in Shang Tsung and the Ten Rings, or I think that was the one she was in.
Yeah.
Again, typecast. So I'm, honestly, I'm not really sure if she's typecast into that type of role where she has that more urban Asian sound, quote unquote. So I don't know.
So I think that's part of why she is who she is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's a dimension to her, a different part of her personality. Like even in the movie, like Crazy Rich Asians, that was like what set her off. And like every scene she was in, like I just wanted more. Just give me more.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me more. Now I will say this: the more I see her, the less of it I want.
That's where I'm at right now. Right. I want to see, like, is there another dimension to you, or did you just have a bunch of black friends, or you grew up in the South Side of LA? Like, I just want to know. I want to know. I'm just saying. I want to know.
No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. But we're only 7.5 minutes in, and I was certain we would have at least gotten to 15 minutes before Corey went on his hate trail. I am impressed. You have beaten your own record. Oh my God. All right. Moving forward.
Oh, like shit. She's entertaining though,
to say the least. All right. So fast forwarding just a bit. So once inside of the Redream, Brandy delivers her lines flawlessly. Until she has to play the piano. And so that sends the Redream into the tailspin. I guess the piano playing was so bad, you threw off the entire situation and everything went awry. And so the question is, what are your thoughts about the unethical ramifications of artificial intelligence used by the Redream technology in this episode? For example, the manipulation of time, the relationships, and the different experiences.
I think it's only a matter of time before we get there, right? I think that AI is moving so fast in society, and even in Black Mirror, just kind of shows that the ideas are there. So if Black Mirror can dream it, you better believe that a scientist somewhere is trying to figure out a way to make what we're seeing on Black Mirror a marketable reality. And let's be honest, gamers, etc., would line up and pay $1,000 plus a pop for the opportunity to live through an experience, taking out the die aspect. No one wants to die while playing a simulation or a video game, but maybe
have you sign a waiver.
Right. And we're really going down a dangerous path, but I think it's one that's inevitable because humans by nature are curious and we want to push the envelope. So I think that while it's crazy to try to experiment with this, I think that it's only a matter of time before we get there, and it's probably going to be in our lifetime, like probably within the next 10 to 15 years.
So, what was the question again?
So there was a whole lot happening in this question, poorly formulated, but here it is again. So basically, what are your thoughts about the unethical ramifications of AI used by the technology in this episode, the Redream?
So, actually, I'm glad that you that you asked it again because I guess I fully understood it the second time, especially as it relates to the relationship, specifically the relationship that was formed after they got stuck and what's the character's name? Brandy started to slowly fall in love with Clara, and it made me think about a couple other things, which is not part of your question, but I'm gonna put it out there because I will probably forget. I wondered whether or not her character Brandy was gay prior to, which is why she lived such a reclusive life. Um, but anyway, how unethical it is. I don't know how unethical it is. I think because look, it's not real. Who is it hurting? It's not
Right.
hurting anyone. It's not
That's the
real.
primary question.
So ethically, I don't know if that's something I'm gonna pitch my tent to. However, is it something that would be considered taboo because it's so new and so foreign and so unrealistic into the minds of most people? I think that's where it would lie on the ledger. Not unethical, but more, this is different. This is strange.
For me, I to some degree feel like it is unethical. One, y'all aren't medical professionals. Two, you're hooking people up to these machines and it's messing with the synapses in the brain essentially. And so if something goes awry, like it did, because she went into shock whenever she got off task or off script rather, and you could die, just based on that alone. And so having such technology to where you could kill someone just for the sake of a thrill or reliving or living inside of an alternate reality is to me to some degree unethical.
Yeah, I guess. I'm
But
sorry.
there's the whole free will piece as well. You signed up for this. You signed up for this. So yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that was part of her contract. I mean, because it seemed like everything that was in paper, she and even on a disc or whatever, she was able to look at it and be like, but like everything that she really needed to know about the program was on that thumb drive, and so legally, it's on them and it's not on her. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly she didn't sign anything. She didn't send it back. You know what I'm saying?
This is true.
And they
So
didn't show an actual contract being signed or anything like that. So it leads you to infer that maybe I don't know. I just kind of glossed over that. I kind of figured that they had done the contract and we just didn't see that piece, which then would kind of bring into question the ethics, right? Because we know we get a disclaimer when we sign up for new services. Click here if you understand. Click here if you understand and accept. It'd be hard to believe that they didn't at least give that due diligence to something like that, but they didn't show it, so we have to say that.
It'd be so convoluted. Like, who's gonna read all of it?
But I still think she may have made. I don't know. I said no, but I don't know. Maybe she would have did it because she was lacking something in her own life, right? So, and how many of us, if we feel like we're lacking adventure or excitement, wouldn't want to plug in, right, and experience something different or new?
I have a comment from the crowd, the unseen crowd, and I will read it pretty much back on the back of what you and Jermaine are both saying. So the comment is that one, they feel like she wasn't gay, she was unsure of herself in society, and that's why she was seeking something out something kind of bizarre, and that was the driving force because she was constantly overlooked and she wanted to be remembered. And so, um,
Okay, so this is where I'm gonna like push back. And I don't know what the real answer is. However, she was more okay. So she was playing one character, but she seemed to be more interested into the character of Clara than she was her own character. And so I was sitting, I was like, why is that? What's going on with that? Like you know what I'm saying? Like she had interest in that particular character. Now it's true that she could have done that with her character, and we just didn't know it or see it. But she definitely had an interest in that character, Clara, to the point where she had interest in Dorothy, right? The real person.
Which is a bit confusing because she had the opportunity to be cast as Clara. They would have offered it to her, but she didn't want that. She wanted to be
the lead.
The lead, you know, and then this was, you know, originally a male role, so.
Which meant she knew she was going to be doing something with a woman.
This is true. She fell in love real quick too. It didn't take that many scenes. And she was getting in there and was mad when they erased her. She got upset. She got upset when the girl wouldn't go remember it. I'm like, okay. All right. Which brings me to my next question. How much of what is happening in the film free will versus the programming? How much of it do you think is free will?
I think that it's a good 50-50, 60-40 split either way, because there's a script, but you don't have to choose to follow the script. And we see that as it's evident as what happens later on when they diverge from the script through the first with the dog and how that really kind of changes everything, and then subsequent choices that are made or not made as we get later into the story. I think it's 50-50. I mean, it's free will. You have to say the lines in order to trigger the next piece of it in order for it to take place. But what's so cool is, so honestly, when the first 5 to 10 minutes, I was like, I don't like this episode. And then as I got into it, when it started to get to the ambiguity and the changes, I was like, okay.
Wait, Corbin, what you said?
I don't like this. I'm gonna change your name in my phone to I don't like it. Don't change though, please. I love it. I live for it.
I was like, I don't like this. And then I was, and then I started watching it. I was like,
it's intriguing.
I love it, because of that change, how it could change. And it really reminded me of the video games and stuff that I play, right? How you could just follow the quest or the story, but the most fun comes when you diverge from the path a little bit.
I honestly, the first time I watched it, fell asleep. Believe it or not, I fell asleep.
Really?
And not because it was boring, but because for me, it was a little slow. And so I don't know what I was expecting or if I even had an expectation at all of what the episode would be about, but I definitely fell asleep. And so when I rewatched it, it still was a little slow for my liking, but it was intriguing enough to keep my attention. And I liked the storyline. It was good. It was a good show, but a little slower than I would prefer.
Let me ask you a question. What if this particular episode had much more attractive characters? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, like, that's what keeps me going on a show. Like, take that.
What the meat looking like in the episode? What it's looking like?
Well, and so you don't get a ton of characters in this episode. And so the couple that we have, you know, so that's a fair question. Quite possibly, maybe I would have a little more attention if I would have had more to look at. But I mean, it's in black and white. Okay, already setting me up for Alfred Hitchcock level snooze fest. Um, there's that. Um,
I used to
but
say that black and white used to make my eyes burn. Black and white movies
it's
make
not
my eyes burn.
unnatural.
Until I started watching old episodes of Twilight Zone. That's what made me start to really like watching some black and white.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, it's like hell no. Oh, that shit remind me of the past is born. I don't see it.
So, what was funny to me was when the redream went offline. And so, my question is, was Brandy's reaction appropriate?
Which time?
So when it initially went offline and she starts exposing everything, Kimmy, what?
Oh,
Hey, none of this is real. You're not real. This is all pretend. Like she spazzes out real bad when it goes offline. Was her reaction appropriate? Because you have poor little Dorothy, Claire in the show doesn't know she's Dorothy, you know, and so she's exposing all of these things to her. She's in shock, and so was her reaction appropriate?
Yes and no. Yes, because you don't know what the hell about to happen as a result of this little interruption, right? No, because you kind of know that it's delicate, right? They kind of told you that you need to kind of stick to the script, and they were kind of ambiguous about what would happen if you didn't. So I think she should have stepped outside. I need to go to the bathroom, and you need to have a conversation. You need to do something, right? You need to do something as to not jeopardize you returning back, right? I think she kind of lost that once she got in there and she saw or started to really interact with the character of Claire. I think she just kind of, she forgot all about her life at home, right? I think because of what she was lacking and what she was missing. So she just suspended reality, so to speak.
So I want you to think about it like this. I want you to think about it as if you're playing a game and you have your headsets on, and then you're talking with a friend of yours who knows this game. You're having problems getting past this little part, and somebody's talking you through it. Mm-hmm. In your ear, you're playing. The person is talking, telling you what to do. Then all of a sudden, the person stops talking, and you don't know what to do. You panic. And you have this person who's just chirping in your ear while at the same time you're trying not to overreact. And then it gets to the point where like you can't hear the person. You have this AI person who's trying to get your attention, and all they're doing is just getting on your nerves, right? Just getting on your nerves, and you want to get out because you don't know what's happening. What's happening?
Outburst.
And so you just boom, you just tell that person this is what's happening so that they can leave you alone. And so I totally understood that because I would do that. That would be me.
So you would fold under pressure, is what you're saying.
If I knew that everything was not real, yeah, fuck this movie. Get me out.
I'm telling everything. I think she could have actually done worse with her spazzing out. She didn't really break anything. It could have gone a lot worse. I thought, especially as a highly melanated person, it would have been much worse if it was me.
There'd have been some cuss words, some flipping of tables. Oh hell knows would have been thrown around. I mean, I think it could have been potentially worse. But then also on the flip side, wait, I got to get out of here.
I got to get out of here. And so you sitting up here and you still acting. I am not.
Get this movie. Get me out.
Can you imagine like while she was flipping shit over, something starts burning and then the place that you're supposed to be at just burns Like, what the fuck you gonna do? You were just standing in the corner. You can't even go into other buildings because it don't exist.
It ain't
You know what I'm
real.
saying?
Ain't no running water, not for real. Okay.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that. Like, do AIs smell? Because you were sleeping downstairs for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
She didn't change clothes, but maybe twice. Like in that end, like towards the end when it was showing the time pass when they were in their little "I love you" state of a couple months. You know, this is another one of those shows that I think could have been a couple episodes to really flesh it out to give us the real feel of everything that was going on.
Episode was kind of long. I felt like
it was long for a Black Mirror episode. I thought it was very long.
Yeah.
I also think the best part of this episode was the little snippet of about 45 seconds that we got of Dorothy Chambers' life. I think that was probably one of the best parts of the episode for me.
What do you mean? Whenever she went into like breached the data wall and she was able to see her own actual life? Yeah, that was a really cool piece.
That was one of the best parts of the episode. And that's when I think at that moment I was like, okay, I don't hate this at all. You know, I think that was one of the best moments.
So to me, it was like, okay, I saw that. And then at the end of the episode, when she was again alone, and it was like, ooh, is she gonna kill herself? I thought she was gonna try to kill herself.
Right. I did too.
Oh my
but now she got somebody. She got somebody and she ain't got to kill herself. Because that's what she was missing. She was missing Dorothy all along.
Mr. Telephone Man.
Well, you know, that can only go so far. I like that little tidbit at the end, but I mean, you know, I thought it was cute.
It doesn't sustain you.
It wouldn't sustain you. It wouldn't realistic, but this is a show, right?
Okay.
So she's trying to fill an emotional need at this point.
I'm gonna need a physical need fed as well. We're gonna have a whole new purpose for this phone.
So you know what I was thinking about as I was watching this, like the implications for like just, you know, like porn and science fiction shows and people actually living these experiences and going off script to have these experiences themselves. Like I couldn't help but go there. I was just like, man, this whole theme could be a whole series in and of itself, or the story of one particular group of people as they experience with Redream.
Redream gonna be wet dream. They're gonna be change the whole thing.
It'd be S&M, all kind of stuff.
S&M.
Bondage, living out fantasies and every other dark impulse, but then etc. Right?
That goes back to our favorite episode of Black Mirror. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yes, the one with the video game.
Yeah.
I watch that tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So considering that we live in a very, very virtual world now, and thinking about it in the realm of this episode, do we feel like a true love connection was built between Dorothy and Brandy, or Clara and Brandy, or Clara and Dr. Alex, or whatever you want to say, rather they're the actors or the real people? Was it a genuine love connection is what I'm trying to get at, based on the fact that they were in a simulation?
I think anything is possible.
So I think there would have been an actual love connection between Dorothy and Brandy. I'm not so certain about Clara and Brandy. I think Clara had to see more of her memories to understand who she really was. And like that aspect of her personality came out, and at that point she was then willing to accept the love that Brandy was giving. The thing that was strange for me was in the back of my mind, yes, I'm looking at this woman Brandy, but at the beginning of the episode they basically said that Clara would only see, what was his name, Alex. Clara would only see Alex, and so okay, maybe Dorothy just fell in love with that stagehand, but she could have also fallen in love with someone else as well. Like, and that someone else could have been male. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Which I'm glad you said that. When you said stagehand, it just reminded me of when she went into the data, reached the data wall, and she gets these memories of her being on set, and you see these flashes of the person. I don't want to call the lady a stagehand, but maybe, or some part of the cast, or
The crew.
whomever that are help. Yes, the crew. Thank you. That's the word that I need. Was something going on with her and that woman?
Yeah.
Okay, so just like, I'm like, am I connecting dots that aren't there? When I'm seeing it, I'm like, cause she like, okay, this can't be by accident. This woman keeps showing up and showing up and showing up. That's not by accident.
That's why she killed herself.
It's intentional.
She was in love with that woman,
Oh,
and she couldn't express it.
Mm-hmm.
oh my, to be a lesbian in the black and white.
Again, that was like some of the best parts. Like that flashback. I mean, you just got so much information out of one little 20-second piece.
Like, my goodness. All right. So as we get to the end of this episode, we kind of talked about the phone call a little bit. So do we feel like that it signifies that Brandy is still trapped in a loop, or is she truly free since she's in the outside world and Clara is still in the film?
Say that one more time.
Mm-hmm.
So is Brandy, actual Brandy, is she free, or is she still kind of stuck on and I'm gonna use Lucifer, on kind of like a hell loop? Is she kind of stuck, or is she free? Since she has this phone, so she still has that connection to Clara. Is she gonna be able to live out a normal life being bound to this, or is she free?
I think she's stuck, to be honest with you, because she's not going to be able to move on from that experience, because she's always, as long as she kind of keeps in contact with Clara, she's always going to long miss is that love is still going to stay there, it's going to grow, or etc. And I think she's stuck. She won't be able to experience it in her real life if she's holding on to that experience in the AI world, AI generated world. But
So this is what I wondered. So as I was watching that little part, I was just like, "Ooh, they must have recorded all those months. Like it was supposed to be months, right? They must have recorded all those months and went back and watched it, and somebody saw that Brandy fell in love with Clara, and somebody felt not sorry for her, but was just like, "Ooh, this is some way that you can stay in touch with the love of your life." That's what you, okay. But I was more curious about, like, why didn't they just release that? Like them falling in love, because that would have been just as, if not more entertaining than that little movie that they came up with.
That's the same thing I thought. I thought that the final version of the film would have been the found footage kind of spliced into the movie and making it even more modern or whatever. Yeah. I was thinking that they were going to do that, but they just kind of ignored that little piece.
I definitely, I'm agreeing that I think she is 100% stuck. You've gotten more notoriety, and this is me assuming, after this film or what have you, but you're still not satiated.
Nope.
You're in love with this person that you could never have. And so this listen, that makes them sick. People go crazy.
Me too.
You live in your best single life, and then you go for drinks one day, and then all of a sudden.
Wait a minute, I saw the movie Sinners, And
Wow.
and one of them was like, "Hey, you ever licked the ice cream?" he was like, "You know how you lick the ice cream?"
Man, want to go for ice cream after this? Whew. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I digress.
But yes, I think she's stuck. You started out seeking one thing, and then you fell in love, and now I don't feel like you can move forward. I really feel like you're stuck.
And
All
I
right.
hate that it ended right there, though. That's the other thing. I hate that it ended with that her plugging in and that big smile on her face. I'm like, girl, you trapped. You trapped. You trapped, girl.
With some black and white nookie, and you acting like this was willing to die in the movie and everything.
She was trapped. And the killer part is in 1940s, wherever you at, wouldn't have even recognized whatever y'all was doing. Either way you take it, black, white, lesbian, it don't matter. Either way.
My goodness. All right. So as we begin to close this episode of Black Mirror Hotel Reverie, overall ratings.
7.
7.
Okay.
Yep.
What?
7.
I'm surprised y'all never have the same rating, so I'm just shocked that it's a 7 for both of you.
7.
I guess for me it's about a 7, maybe a 7.2. Wasn't my favorite episode again because
there you go, Corey. 7.2.
7 3/4. I don't think now, but it's simply because just for me and how I am, I needed a little bit more. It was just a little slow, just a little bit.
It was.
Just a little bit.
So, question: how do we feel about Black Mirror this whole season so far? I think we've consistently rated the episode 6.5 or a 7. Has anyone really felt like any of the episodes we've covered so far has been like a 10?
But I haven't seen that we've covered. No.
Yeah,
not that we've covered.
No 10s for me either. But loving the season, I'll say that.
Oh, I love the season. I love it. I love the concept of this show. I'm never going to say stop doing it.
So far, the first episode to me was the best.
To me, that's my favorite so far as well. The uncommon people are common people.
That episode is on par with the one where the two men were playing the video game.
That's a 10. 10
That was a 10.
The board.
Across the motherfucking board.
I would have given that like a 9.5.
Where did it lose 0.5 points?
Okay, so his best friend. Like, I recognize the guy, but I wanted him to be sexier. I want you know what I'm saying? I want him to be.
I get that.
Appeal.
I get that.
It's like I gotta have it. I gotta, like kind of like what Corey said. I want to see your print. I want to see your ass. I want to see I want to see everything. No, well, earlier this particular episode, you were like, you didn't use the word print. I'm using the word print, but that was what you meant.
I know. You gotta see it. You gotta show it. I mean, it is what it is.
Slide it, don't hide it.
Especially like if y'all taking turns on each other, like I gotta know what you're working with.
Mm-hmm. And is it given? Like what is it given? Right? Is it all the things or some of the things?
If I can potentially lose my wife and my family,
it needs to be given all the things, and I need to see it, and I need to see exactly why you about to risk everything for this, whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
men are trash, if you didn't know.
I don't see it that way. I feel like human beings are disgusting, and that's across the board. It's not gender specific.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true.
All right, so are we ready for the next episode?
Let's get into
Yeah,
it.
sure. Let's get into it.
All right, Corey.
I have notes.
Okay.
that I'm unprepared for, by the way. So before I kind of start, let's ask the question: where are we with the show? Like, how are we feeling so far as we navigate this season of The Last of Us? Do we think the first season was better? I mean, we're getting close to midway point at this point.
Yeah, season 1 was much better than this season.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
You even think about it.
No, it's nothing to think about. It's nothing to think. Now, I will say episode 2 gave me everything. But between episode 1 and this particular episode, it was like, oh yeah, your thoughts.
1, I got through very swiftly. This one's been a little challenging, and we're still going. And I still like the show, but I would agree that season 1 was better so far.
So with this episode, we find Dina and Ellie arriving in Seattle and discovering that oh no, that's wrong. This is live, by the way, and I'm screwing it up.
You good.
Let's just go with it. So this episode is, we're in Seattle now, right? And we're trying to find the Federation forces, so the wolves, so to speak. But we get to a point in this season where we start to see the relationship between Dina and Ellie kind of progress a little bit, but we also get the introduction of a couple new characters. So my first question is, up to this point, how are we feeling about the development of the character of Elle/Ellie, however you want to pronounce it, Dina? Let's just start with those two, because we haven't really gotten enough of the others to really to talk about them. Where do we think, in terms of Elle and Dina, where do we think that we are? And the reason why I'm starting with this question is because I'm thinking back to episode 1/episode 2, when we first saw the kiss, or the beginnings of something happening. I believe, Elia, you and I both said, we didn't want them to go that route this soon. Do we still feel the same way now that it's happened in episode 4?
So in essence, episode 4, although they're on a quest, has been turned more into a love story. Like, yeah, there were some zombies and a bunch of other things kind of happening in the background, and quite a few things that I did enjoy, especially the torture scene, but I'm sure we'll get there later. But as far as the development of Ellie and Dina, I still feel like it was rushed. They've fallen in love.
Mm-hmm.
The sex thing was awful. They could have kept that. Really wish they wouldn't have went there. In fact, I'm repulsed thinking about it. And I don't know, to me it just was a little bit ill-placed with how they did it. Like with Ellie serenading Dina, that part was likable. That was kind of nice. You kind of see, they're falling in love in that moment for sure. But I still feel like it was a bit rushed. And then with the whole pregnancy, it was a lot happening too fast for me, which is crazy because I'm the one that will say, okay, something is too slow, but this was too fast. This is too fast.
What do you think? Really, why do you think that they developed the narrative between Elle and Dina so quickly?
I would gather that because of the revenge plot and the other pieces that will take precedence over the love story. So maybe they had to rush that piece in order to get in the other parts. I didn't play the game, and so I'm not privy to a lot of the background knowledge as it pertains to this, but I would gather that may be part of the reason why. And perhaps this is not overall supposed to be a love story anyway, but still, it was just not what I needed it to be.
So in terms of character development, I don't really have a problem between the two of them falling in love. I didn't really so like when I see two women have sex, it's not the most desirable thing that I want to see on television. But it's still, it wasn't like, it didn't turn me off, if you know what I mean. And also, like, there was like between season 1 and season 2, there was like a considerable amount of time that that happened between season 1 and season 2, and so my mind just immediately inserted, okay, this must have happened between the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2, and so I was just able to roll with it. Like it wasn't a big deal for me. However, I will say this, for someone to admit that they too have had an attraction to someone so fast, after a kiss, and then for Ellie to just be like, oh, I'm gonna be the daddy now, like, that was a lot.
I kind of agree. I really agree, because, and it really kind of took me out. I remember what I said initially when we saw that, and I said, oh, I'm not ready for that to happen yet, or even if I wanted that to happen. I don't remember in the game if that relationship even transpired. I know it was alluded to. I don't remember if they actually had a relationship or anything like that in the video game. What I will say is that I felt like, it was initially such a drastic leap from what we initially saw as flirting. And then immediately after that initial interaction or whatever, we found out she's pregnant, and it's alluded to early in the episode when they were passing by the pharmacy and she grabbed, we didn't see what was later revealed to as pregnancy test, right? I thought that was just such a big leap, and it really took me out of the story, and I kind of wished it wouldn't have did that.
Glad it's not just me, because I was watching it, and I was just kind of like, what the hell is happening right now? Why did y'all even put this in here, right here? I didn't love how it was placed. It was just odd. And immediately, I'm going to be the dad. And as soon as you say you're pregnant, I'm excited. You just mashed for the first time. Right. What are you talking about? I'm just like, okay. Maybe something's wrong with me. But,
and do we think that the Ellie and Dina plotline is dragging down the story of this so far? Is it an interesting plot point, or do we think that it's wasted time?
I can't answer that right now, because I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this particular season. I can only assume that it's going to become a major plot point in the future. I can only assume that it's going to become a major plot point, and it's going to kind of dictate what happens between those two characters, especially so like at the end of this episode. I'm not certain if you're ready to go there just yet, but at the end of this particular episode, Ellie is trying to convince Dina not to fight. So if that's happening, within hours of her finding out that Dina is pregnant, can you imagine what's going to happen later? Can you imagine how Dina is going to say, okay, I'm not going to fight, and then go anyway, until it gets to a point where she can't fight anymore, and how that might, I don't know, it might hurt Ellie. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming a whole lot, and I don't have information.
So
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're on target.
I was unaware that Dina didn't know that Ellie was immune.
Right.
I didn't find that out until this episode. I was unaware, and so I was like, oh, I did respect the fact that Dina was willing to pull a bullet in her ass. I respected that.
Yeah.
I really did. It really made me like, okay, this is why I kind of like Dina. Dina is tough. She was willing to put her down.
Yeah.
Right then and there. No conversation about it. And, So going back though, so initially when they get to Seattle and they're making their decisions about where to go, and they spot the tower, and everything happens after that, they run into those other forces, and they get to the big zombie scene, which is the most action that we've seen since
Episode 2.
since episode 2. Do we think that the show is downplaying the zombies / cordyceps in the show? We alluded to this earlier in the season when we were talking about this feels like The Walking Dead, where it was highlighting more of human relationships as opposed to the horror of this zombie apocalypse. Do we think that that is the case with how they're choosing to tell this story? I will say, to answer this question, I do. And the only reason why I say that is just thinking through the experience of the game, right? And we kind of talked about this a little bit in a couple other episodes. In the video game, it is a very action oriented, right? There's a lot that's going on in between scenes. There's a lot that's going on where you're constantly running, you're constantly in motion, trying to escape, this threat against your life, and etc. Right? In the show, we do not see the same sort of terror or the threat. Yeah, you see it in big waves, right? But you don't see enough of the zombie threat to really feel the terror. You have more terror from the fact of the apocalypse and the factions than you do of the damn zombies, which is one of the things I'm not liking so far, if I'm gonna be honest.
Sometimes, and again, not aware of the game, but sometimes the cordyceps, for me, in my mind, not having the background knowledge, are a little bit of an afterthought until it goes down, and it's like,
Right.
Oh my God. And then those moments are so grandiose that you want more because it's so well thought out, so planned, like so well delivered. When they do it, you crave more of it.
Right.
They've done a great job with the scenes and the gore. Like, I absolutely love it. So it's like, again, I hate the fact that it is a little bit of an afterthought. So I don't disagree with you. I don't.
Jermaine?
I think I would have to agree with Elia for the most part. So here's the thing. When it comes to character development, sometimes some certain things between characters can be rushed, and so like I get that. I think what I'm thinking about is balance. Is there balance? And there's not balance. I think it's heavier on character development than it is on the gore that Corey is seeking. In general, I'm not someone who necessarily likes gore and all that other good stuff. I like the drama. I like the drama. Now, is this the right type of drama that I want? Not necessarily.
Right. To add that point, in comparing this to The Walking Dead had drama in between factions as it relates to the zombies, right? This is missing that aspect of the zombie element, right? So far, right? One thing that's really interesting in this episode that we are introduced to some different factions. Well, we were really introduced to this group in the previous episode. But how does this episode expand our understanding of, quote unquote, the Fireflies and the world outside of Jackson / Seattle and the WLF?
The wolves and the scars?
Mm-hmm.
How does this expand the world?
Yeah, how does this expand the world? Like, the character that I can't think of the actor's name is playing, and I can't think of his name in the show, but his introduction as a character who betrayed the WLF, I think that was something that was really, really, really cool. Just
he betrayed Fedra, right?
Mm-hmm.
And became
Fedra. That's Fedra. Excuse me, Fedra.
And became WLF.
Yeah.
I don't know his name either, but I think he delivered his shit great. I enjoyed watching him.
I call him Beatty. I call him Beatty because I remember him from what was that show? That movie? and I got the books for it too. I can't remember. But it was the girl who was shooting the arrows.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. Yeah, Beatty. That's Beatty. So yeah, Beatty is good. Beatty is good. Beatty delivered his lines and he delivered them well. Yeah, I expect a lot from him, and his character is so complex. The fact that he was able to basically kill everybody that he was with,
right,
to align himself with, I'm gonna call them the wolves, to align himself with the wolves,
or Fedra.
And then also, I want to know more about the scars. I want to know more about the scars, especially because they're a group that's like religiously based. You know what I'm saying? And so like I want to understand them. I want to understand their religiosity.
And relates to the story.
Yeah, especially I want to understand the wolves and why they make all their prisoners go naked. Because
we saw a lot and a little all at the same time.
Exactly.
Right.
Where is that? Where is that?
A lot happening.
Why they did it to him, I don't understand. You know, the other thing too is I think we may have gotten the glimpse of a couple of the people that were a part of Abby's crew. I couldn't really tell because they looked different, but I think there was like one or two characters that were part of Abby's crew that were shown. But I think it was a complete drop, so to speak, of having them do what they did to Joel, leave us in that state, and then we don't hear or see anything from Abby or from any of those other people so far to this point, like as a group of individuals. And we're going into episode 5, and that
they mentioned one of their names, all right?
Yeah, they mentioned their name, and maybe someone's face, I think. Do we think that they're saving them for a reveal, or do we think that they've served their purpose and it's just kind of the drama's going to shift towards Abby, which is really the focus?
Oh, it's going to shift towards Abby. It's going to shift towards Abby, and I want to know how, like, what type of relation, like, how will Dina and Abby interact? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what because I already know how Ellie is going to react. I want to know how Dina and Abby are going to react with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. And so one other theme that has continued through this episode that has been a theme throughout is the relationship that Elle has to her own decision making, right? And how it has evolved or not evolved. Do we think she's making better choices given the chance? I'm going to just go ahead and say no. Because she's still rushing into danger without regard for what's going on, even to the place of where they want to go in and the method by which they want to go in and try to find Abby and her crew. I just still want to throw the remote at the screen.
She a crash dummy. She's a crash dummy. And Dina must be a Virgo with all that logic. And she doesn't smother her with it. She's just very matter of fact about it. So Dina has to be a Virgo. To me, she is, because she's like, you see that right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look up there, notice that window's already broken.
And it's almost like she's leading her to the logical conclusion. And what does that tell you? I think she actually said that. Or what does that mean, right? It's almost like she's a child that she is trying to teach survival or common sense strategies to. I really hate that about her character. It makes me pull out my eyes.
Healed with the decisions that you made.
Kills me.
And your lack of impulse control. You're not raw like that. You are not Joel. And you see where he is.
Right. And she's not, let's be honest, she's not that great of a fighter. She's tough, but she's not like a samurai with, or the chosen one like you have in a video game or a superhero, right? She can't do amazing things like parkour off the wall and split zombies' head opens and stuff like that. She can't do that, right?
So
she can't do that.
She's ruled by her emotions. Point blank, period. She feels it, she reacts to it, and that's just it. And that's why I think the two of them are a perfect couple for each other. It takes the two of them to balance each other out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is why I think Dina is a perfect companion for her in this particular moment.
It is. I just
And by
don't.
the way, Dina is good to look at.
Yeah,
Dina is cute.
to me, they're
She's cute.
children, and so
Playing in an adult world.
yeah, it's just not enough. They're not developed enough for me to just be like, ooh. Which
It's just
Dina is pretty, but the sex appeal is not there because to me they just look like children. Like
they're both short. Okay, they're just short.
sure. I mean they're adults in age number, but still just. Hmm.
I will say this: it was kind of creepy to see the two of them have sex on that level. On that level.
So soon after they've just kind of established that Dina is kind of, and we're going back to this, but because it was such a big highlight,
it's not just that. It's just the fact that when I look at them, both of them look like they're 14, 15 years old. And I don't want to see no 14 and 15 year old.
Do you think that was a casting error to choose Elle for this role, considering like should they have gone with a more adult looking actor to play down her age as opposed to a younger actor trying to play up her age?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
That's for me, like I said, that sex scene, they shouldn't even went there. They could have did something else with it. I was not here for it at all. It was just
so fans of the show are kind of in agreement with you guys, and they actually wanted her to be recast, even though there is a significant jump in age, and I don't know the age of the actress that's playing her, but even though there was a significant jump in age, and she was actually closer to the age of Elle originally when they originally started filming this. So, but the audience wanted, a different actress, so much to the point that she had deleted her social media accounts prior to the airing of this because of the messages that she was getting from trolls and fans alike regarding her looks, and it was mainly based on her looks and her appearance. Putting the looks and appearance part aside, I do think that another actress could have maybe carried the weight of, because she still looks like a child, so it's hard for me to really take her seriously in these adult movies. She looks like a child.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So we've had a lot of things that we've had to say that we did not like. Let's touch on a couple of things that we did like as it relates to either cinematography and we'll probably wrapping up because there's not that much to really discuss about this episode. Cinematography and or the drama highlights from
so what I learned from this particular episode is that the scars are ruthless motherfuckers. They gonna kill you, they gonna gut you, they gonna string you up, and they don't care. They might have bows and arrows and sticks and all of that, but they are ruthless. And that kind of goes back to a conversation that we were having earlier about this particular show. The fact that so many people in that area end up joining the scars. So what the hell is wrong with the wolves that people end up leaving the wolves to join the scars?
Right. That was a very interesting comment that he made, and I'm really curious about how they're going to show that. And I'm just curious, like, why would you leave a more functioning society for a hunter-gatherer cult? Because basically that's what they are. A hunter-gatherer cult that has bows and arrows compared to machine guns and armored trucks. Why? It behooves me at this point because I don't know, because I wouldn't do it. I would stay where I feel most safe, and that's with the guns and the tanks and the jackbooted thugs walking around the city. And
I can only assume that the wolves are hypocrites, and once people find out that they're hypocrites, they're like, nah, can't deal with it. Let me join them. Okay, that's my assumption. Probably wrong. I'm probably wrong.
Favorites, hates, loves, likes about this episode?
Much like Jermaine, I'm extremely intrigued by the Seraphites, or the scars that they call them, just to see what they're going to do next, because they strike me as okay, you got one off on us. We're going to come back. We want our lick back, and we're going to do it better. And we're going to make Okay, and so we're not going anywhere. And I think Corey, you mentioned this as well. Um, the fact that they had that one liner in there about wolves become seraphites, and we don't turn. Once they become seraphites, that's it. But we don't have anybody leaving the seraphites to become wolves. So that should, have you guys raising an eyebrow of why your people are leaving to join us and have loyalty. So that piece is intriguing to me, like what is going on in the breakdown of that structure to where you have these people leaving this seemingly together militia to join this fanatical group of people. So that's one piece that is very intriguing to me. And you mentioned cinematography. Overall, when they got to the cordyceps, I'll say it again, that was a phenomenal piece for me. The breaking of the windows inside of the little subway train or whatever it was, and at any moment you're just knowing like they're gonna die. They're not gonna make it because so many of them. And so they're being chased by the wolves and the cordyceps show up. So just that whole set and how everything was playing out, absolutely loved it. They delivered it well. Just made me want more of those kind of action-filled pieces from the show.
I agree. Same thing as you said. I need more of the action with the zombies. I need to see more of that. I love the character development. I do love it. I want character development in the places where it really moves the story as it relates to the zombies in the apocalypse, right? I need to see more favorites die or something happen to them. They've invested a lot of time in making us love the village in Jackson. So I don't want them to throw them away either, right? But I have a question mark right now where they are in the story because I'm not as invested in Seattle as I was in the Jackson piece of the story. So we'll see. So that about is going to kind of wrap up our discussion of this episode, day 1 of The Last of Us. Final ratings, as we like to give. I'm not going to go first this time. So what do you guys think?
Jermaine.
Rain.
6. 6 because it's 1 times 6 as long as what that scar had between his legs.
Oh my goodness!
But it was pre-arousal though, so he might be a grower. He might not be a shower. He might be a grower.
Oh no, 6. Damn.
I'm going to give it a 6.4. 4.
I can't.
Stop it. 6.4. The reason why I point 4 is because that extra action with the zombies really pumped it up a little bit. But outside of that, and I think the guy's name is Jeffrey. I can't think of his actual name of the character. The story of the guy who turned and the scars, those are the best parts of the story. But those were short, quick pieces other than the zombie influx. And I just need more. It was short. It was short. Hell yeah.
Wait a minute. Pumped it up. Short, quick. I needed more.
Oh my god.
But you gotta say it with a struggle in your voice. More.
I want more.
More.
That was almost a Jersey accent. Okay, so
More.
I probably would have given this episode a 7 if it wasn't for that horrible sex scene. That's me down to probably a 5.5, not even a 6.
Dang.
I did enjoy, like I said, how the scenes were played with the cordyceps. Wasn't enough for that for me. It's just, it was. I just don't want to see these young babies making out it's not sexy to me. I don't think that's sexy at all. I would have wanted to see it maybe if they were older and I could get into it more, but I can't. Yeah, and it was rushed, so it
Right.
lost point for me there because of rushing that entire relationship, the way in which it was done with the
And to
pregnancy.
your point, they haven't showed that with any other characters, right? They haven't showed any of the characters fucking, right? Or whatever. They haven't really showed that. So why?
You
Mm-mm.
sure is right.
They haven't. So why did they feel like it was necessary for these two characters? I don't know. Because, we not there yet.
I think it had more to do with us saying, okay, um, Dina, yeah, we've seen you, but do we really like you? Seeing her bed Ellie gives us a more emotional resonance to her particular character, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, okay, when I see one, I'm thinking about the other one. I see the other one, I'm thinking about the first one. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that I can think.
And can I just say, I like Dina as a character more than I like Elle. So if the roles were flipped, maybe I would care about Dina's character as a protagonist as opposed to Elle, just because of how she's written in the story. But I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, stay tuned for the next episode that we cover up The Last of Us, episode 5, I believe it is. And like and subscribe. Talk to you later, guys.